Okay, all right, excellent. So let's go live. Okay, all right. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to Winsador's Win Your Day podcast, where we discuss the little things that make a big difference in your life. And today we have with us Naresh Nigam and Smita Sinha. Both of them, they are entrepreneurs with a background in tech and management. So, Naresh and Smita, so thank you for both of you being here. You want to say a quick hello to everyone before we get rolling?
Hello, Keddy, and hello, everyone. It's so great to share the podcast stage, virtual stage with you, Keddy. It's going to be an awesome discussion today. Looking forward for it.
It's a privilege for us, and hello, everybody. I know, we are going to have fun together.
Yes, we have a wonderful topic to discuss today. And for all of you tuning in today, we will be talking about decision making. And we titled it as Demystifying Decisions because there's so much of mystery behind decision making. Hopefully, we can discuss this topic today and give you some pointers, some framework which you can use to make good decisions for yourself. And just to tee up the whole topic, they say a good life is a fruit of series of good decisions. If you make good decisions over a period of time, chances are you're going to have a great life for yourself. But the challenge is we discuss so many different topics in our life, but decision making never gets discussed. And we never talk about this decision making process. We don't talk about what are the rituals behind it. Is there a process? Is there a procedure? So what most people do when it comes to decision making is either they procrastinate, and you and I have done it. We sit on a decision, we're like, oh, should I do it, not do it? I'm not sure. So we procrastinate. Or we lean on someone who's nearest to us. Doesn't matter how qualified that person is, but if someone is close to you, like, let me just run this thing by them, and they might just give you whatever advice. Or third thing that people do is they rush into unexamined solutions. So they just pick something and they go with it. And here's the worst thing ever. We never look back in our life and say, oh, were there certain decisions that impacted the quality of my life? But today, while we talk to Naresh and Smita, we'll pick their thoughts. We'll find out from them what's this whole secret of making decisions, any framework we can use, what have they applied in their own life, and where they have gotten with that. Okay, so Naresh and Smita, like they say, chief enemy of good decision making is lack of perspective. And today, when we talk and discuss, our goal is to pick some perspective and give a framework to all the individuals who are tuning in, right? So the first thing I want to discuss with you is it even important? Is decision making really that important? Does it help you in life? If you can shed some light on that.
Sure, Katie. It definitely help in the life, as you said, like a series of good decision making, or like decides the quality of our life. Okay, good or bad. If we make good decisions, probably we will live a life of a choice. And if we don't make a good decision, we just throw our life thinking of something will happen, but nothing happen if we have a plan, if we don't have a plan. So I will just say a few things about it. Like good decision actually gives the clarity of thinking. And more clear we are about something, it's easier to plan and execute it. Okay, so if I will take my life, decision making, nobody taught us. And also, it's not a talent, it's a skill. Okay, but everybody growing up, if I have grown in very middle class family, and we have only one thing: get a good education, get good degree, get good job, and you will live good. So I got it. I got a good job. I got a good income. But is it the only thing we need to live a good quality life? Okay, so nobody tell like, hey, good decision making helps you in living a quality of life. There are so many other things if you will take care of your health and all. So nobody discuss the other component of the life except the finances. And I understand finance is one important component, but it's not everything. So definitely, early on, I have made a lot of mistake doing one thing, thinking of 100 things, unclarity of thinking. And I don't even do one thing very well. But today, over the period of time, I have learned through different ways how to have a good decision. Okay, and I think upon what I want in the life, and I try to make a decision which is alignment with what I want in the life, and it makes my life so easy.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
very true. It's very true. It's very true. And like Smita, you were talking about, decision making is not a talent. If it was a talent, a lot of us, we would have just struggled in our lives. But it's a skill. But it's as one of those skills that we don't harness, we don't practice, we don't talk about, and we go through life just based on somebody else's experiences. And growing up, a lot of decisions they get made for us. As you're growing up, parents, they decide what you're going to wear, what are you going to eat, and we start relying on an external source to make decisions for us. And I think it's okay as a kid, right? You can't, I have a 16-month-old at home. He can't decide what he's going to eat. He's going to eat what we're going to feed him. But if he grows up with that mindset, like, oh, someone is always going to decide something for me, then he's going to miss out on a lot of good things that he could have done with his life. And I think a lot of us are victim of that. We go through life just sleepwalking, and we wake up once in a while and we're like, oh, I am not at the right place. And then we lean on someone else, like, hey, what do you think I should do? And then we make another decision. Okay. So that's very apt. Your life or your quality of life is just series of your decisions that you have made. Right. Now, if decisions, they make such a big impact on people, right? Good decisions, they can put you on a trajectory for growth, advancement, happiness, joy, whatever you want to call it. Why do some people struggle? Why can't they just make good decisions for themselves? What's the whole mystery behind that?
Yeah, no, that's a good question, KD. And I was reading a stats. They say, the biggest challenge that we as a generation, now as X, Y, Z, and now whatever generation we are in now, face is, we don't know how to make a decision. It's becoming like taming the lion, right? We all heard about it, how they tame the lion, a mighty, ferocious lion, get tamed not by guns, not by anything, but a three-legged stool. A three-legged stool is all needed to tame a mighty lion because the lion cannot focus on one leg and the ringmaster is just rotating the stool. So lion is always confused. And I think somewhere with the in the world today, we all are overloaded with the information. How we make a decision. To make a decision, we all need some data, right? We need some information so that we can make a better decision, right? Now, one thing I want to take away from your mind is there's nothing called a good decision. Sometimes we are too much emphasized on making the good decision, but what you take a good decision and you quit on it. Like maybe I find my struggle. I take a decision and I was very quick to quit on it. And that's where I learned it's not only about making something good decision, but also about managing the decision. Once I take the decision, do I manage that decision, right? Otherwise, even a good decision is as good as a bad decision. So always remember that, once you make a decision, you manage it. Second is declutter the information. We are overloaded with information. Don't get confused like that lawyer, right? There is a curve that, and there was a study that was done actually by Walmart a long time back. And what they found is when they were keeping too few products in an aisle about, let's say, laundry detergent, people don't like it because there's a very few choices to make. So they reversed it and they fill up the entire aisles with a lot of laundry detergents. Now the problem was people go in that aisle, people looking at laundry detergent and just come out without taking any laundry detergents. Now what happened? Now there's a problem because there are too many options. So there is always an optimum of information what is needed. They come up with a graph. They say, between the number of time and the decision. So in our life, it's like also like that. If you try to take a decision on too few information or too less of information, you will feel frustrated. You would have thought after taking decision, oh, what if I would have waited for more information? But at the same time, if you're waiting for too much of information to gather everything in hand to make a decision, by the time you make a decision, the train is already left the platform, right? So what you need is just enough information to make a decision. If we in our mind make the point that I will never going to have all the facts in my hand to make a decision, I will be happy, and that's what is the secret of success for most of the CEOs today. They don't have the entire picture or entire fact with them, but they have enough information where they try to piece the puzzle together. That's where your creative thinking come in. That's where your mastermind alliance come in. They never had all the information, but they were smart people who they go and lean on and work with to say, okay, I have 70% of the information. Can I try to piece the puzzle together? It might not be fully complete, but can I see that the puzzle is actually a face of a human being? And can I just take the decision and start managing it from that point onward? Right. And that's where, Kerry, we saw, waiting too long to make a decision is actually a disaster. And I will close with that. There's they ask a lot of people who are on the deathbed, and they ask, what is something that you regret? And the biggest regret that people have is not about making the bad decision. The biggest regret they had is they didn't decide when the time was there. Right. So that indecision, the price we pay for the indecision is much, much, much higher than the price you will pay for making a wrong decision. Right. They say decision making is like riding a bike. Once you start riding it, you can change the direction. But the problem is, if you don't make a decision, the bike is stationary. You can never balance on it. So only riding a bike which is in motion, you can change the direction. So start making the decision. It's okay. How you make a good decision? Somebody asked Warren Buffett. He says, actually they ask how you are so successful, and he says, I make the good decision. Said, how you make a good decision? He said, by experience. Said, how you get that experience? One because I get experience by making bad decisions, and that's what the life is all about, right? You will make a decision, let it be bad, that's okay. Learn from that experience. But most important thing is, Warren Buffett, when he was going through that journey, he was not alone. Whatever the experience he was getting, he was weighing it through his own coach and his own mentor, right? Charlie Munger. So when you are making a decision, make sure that you have somebody well qualified looking and doing a brainstorming with. Napoleon Hill call it as a mastermind alliance. Beautiful book by him if you like to read Mastermind Alliance, right? Key to riches, and you will love it. But yeah, Katie, a long answer to a short question, because I think life.
No, there is no long answers. We have a long life to live. So perspective is king. We talk about execution is king, but execution comes from perspective. And I think, like I was saying earlier, a lot of people don't decide or make random decisions because they don't have sufficient perspective. And like you were talking, right, we have abundance of information around us, but what's that information about? I have met people who know exactly how to make a cappuccino, but they don't know how to balance their bank account. They have no idea where their money comes and goes. They have every idea about how to get six-pack ab. They have all the information, but they don't know how to execute. Why? Because they don't have enough perspective on their own body. So never a long answer. So I love that. And discipline is something, when you remember you remind yourself what you want for long term versus what you are seeking short term. That's all discipline is about. And that's where managing the decisions, like you were talking about, I think is so important. So important. Everyone talks about making decisions, but very few people actually manage the decisions we made. And I'm pretty sure, right, Narration Smitha, right now, this is February 17th already. The folks who made a decision on January 1st, they're going to be exercising every day and 4 hours every day. And they got themselves, they shopped ahead of time. They got new pair of sneakers and new shorts and new t-shirt. Everything was ready. Most of them, they didn't manage that decision. That emotion is gone. And probably now those sneakers, I don't know, kids are playing with it. Something is happening there. So, but managing those decisions is so very important. And the last thing that you talked about, I love, is everyone talks about making decisions, managing decisions, but very few people understand the cost of not making a decision, right? And I'm just going to change the word decision to choice, because when we say decision, a lot of people are like, oh my God, I have to decide. But I'll just change it with a choice. When you choose, you already made the choice. And I'm loving this conversation because it's going to give people some framework. So let's move on from there. Let's talk about some framework. So give us some components to a good decision making, or just a process of making decision. Let's say if I want to buy a car, or I don't know, I'm seeking romantic relationship with someone. I'm married, but if someone is seeking romantic relationship, or I don't know, whatever, they have to make some choices. Is there a framework we can follow, or I just go with my gut feel, or what's the framework you guys follow for yourself?
Yeah, no, I think it's all good question after good questions, Katie. Right? That's why, they say life, you don't need to make all the mistakes to learn, to get experience, right? If you're a wise person, you will start learning from others' experience, right?
Yes.
And that's a good, because a lot of time we don't have a framework of making a decision, so we go with the flow. We become a cork in that, that cork on the bottle in the sea. which is just going with the waves, just go with the flow, right? And you don't want to live life like that because it's a too much of uncertainty. You will never know where you will end up, and most of the time you will not like it where you end up. So if I don't want to be the place where I don't want to be, first of all, I have to define where I want to be in my life, right? What is my life's philosophy and what is exactly I want to accomplish in my life, right? Having a goal. That's why they say if you have a very well defined goal, and if you have it written, and if you have in front of your eyes where you sit, like for me, it's right on my left side, it becomes a guiding principle. Because every decision from that point onward, always go back and I start checking. If I have to make a decision, I want to see where it's fitting into my life. Is it in a short term and in the long term, right? And it's very important for me because there may be a decision that are good. I see is good in the short term, but in the long term, they might have a consequence or might not lead me to the direction I want to go. So I have to be very cautious and cognizant about what kind of decision I'm making. That's the very first thing, right? So whenever I come across a fork, right, I have to see which road takes me to the direction I long term want to be in my life, right? I don't want to take a shortcut just because it is beautiful, but what if it lands me into we say lands me to a place where I really don't like to be, right? So my decisions are always guided through what I want in my life. What is my end result I want to accomplish, right? Second thing is it aligning with my values? Because a lot of time we can end up in making decisions which are not core to our values, which are not core to us, and we will feel frustrated about it, right? That's why they say, life is you have to learn to become a decision maker in your life. If you are the other half of the world, which is called decision taker, the problem is somebody else is making decision for you, right? Like, if you're with me, then let me know, like, how many times we just switch on the TV, go to Netflix without even knowing what we want to watch. So what happened? The moment you turn it on, now Netflix become a decision maker, and they say, okay, the top 10 based on your previous looks, this is the you want to watch. And you end up in watching some movie, you come up and say, man, I wasted my 5 hours. Why? Versus you could have gone and say, okay, I want to watch any movie, the founder. I love to watch his movie, right? How the McDonald's got founded. So if you go with a decision of what you want, it's become so easy, So for me, the framework is whatever decision I'm making, where it's fitting into the bigger picture for me, right? Second thing is it something that I need to pursue the right away? Because, there are things that you don't want to, even though they are right, come in front of you, there's some things you want to put on the back burner, right? Like for me, writing a book is one of the things I want to do, but that's not something I want to do right away. So I have to also look at, what are my immediate, is it that decision something is about something that I need to take care immediately or something fits right now in my plan? If it is not, then I will write a page and I will put it down, right? I will write a page the next time and I feel inspired because it's not in something fitting into my immediate priority also, right? And the third thing is, about the resources, right? As you said, a lot of time we are just driven by instant gratification, or I want to buy a Range Rover. I love a black Range Rover with the red interiors. I don't know why I'll fall in. I love the red interiors, leather, right? But
it's funny you say that. Just yesterday on my Facebook, it was all advertisement of a new Land Rover or something, and I was like, man, this stuff is good. And here we are talking about Land Rover. That's weird.
Right? That's God's way, right? The universe operates in a weird way. Right. So I think somebody is getting Land Rover for sure. Yeah.
No, I made my decisions. Okay. I'll talk about my decision making after this.
That's exactly the point, Katie, that you said, it's not like the resources which are stopping you right away, but is it the right use of my resources at this point in time, right? My resources can be in the place where give me a better results, right? So some of these things I look at, and the last thing that I'm sold out to is when I learned about, I keep talking, you will hear a lot about mastermind alliance, because I still want to have a perspective of a very well qualified person in that field, right? It's like just you go to a heart surgeon before a heart surgery, right? You go to a good car mechanic if you have a car problem. I go to a right qualified person, or my coaches and mentor, if I'm making a life decision, right? I just don't go and randomly start asking about my neighbors or my co-workers, what they think about it. So these some of things, Katie, I just take care of, where it fits into my plan, Is it something that has to be my immediate priority, right? And third is like, running any decision with my coaches and mentors, because to me, that saves me, I don't know how much of money and more than frustration and time.
Well, that's wonderful. Smita?
Yeah, I will just say, like many a times, we are scared of making decisions. Okay. And as I said, like we ask our friends and family, all are well wishers. They are good well wishers, but not all the well wishers are well informed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I will not go with anybody and everybody. And as I said, like I will take some time to find out what is my values. What is my priorities? Let's say like I'm saving some money for my kids' education, and it is big money. So like suddenly, if my friend said, "Hey, we are making a plan for a Hawaii trip. You want to go?" So, it's not that I don't want to go, but I don't want to use that money because I have already made a decision for that particular money. And that is the best thing. If my decision is aligned with our values, our priorities, it's very easy to say no.
Mhm.
Okay.
Right.
And if I have not given the priorities, we will fall for everything. And then when we really need it, we don't have it.
Very true. No, excellent. Great points. And recently I've been thinking about this, and then I studied this whole 5 new angles you can look at, or 5 different set of eyes you can look this decision making process through. And it was wonderful information, very different perspective. And I loved that. It says when you're about to make a decision, you see it through 5 different eyes. First eye you see the decision through is an eye of an enemy. What would your enemy decide for you? So let's say if I had to ask my enemy, and here's a beautiful thing about enemies. Your friends can fake it. Enemies will never fake it. They will tell you something that's going to make sure that you disrupt your whole life. So if I had to call one of my enemies, I don't have enemies, but let's say someone really hates me and I call that guy, I'm like, hey, I'm thinking of buying a Land Rover. And they go, yeah, sure, you should. You deserve it. You worked hard. And that could actually stagnate my progress, right? So you ask a question through the eye of an enemy. I'm not saying you do the opposite, but it gives you perspective. Like we were saying earlier, right? Good decisions are just a byproduct of enough perspective. So ask yourself a question: what would my enemy decide for me? Number 2, look at the decision through the lens of your gut. Somewhere deep within, we all know what's the right decision, but then our emotions take over.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I should not eat pizza tonight, which I am, by the way. I don't care today. Decision has been made already. But let's say I should not eat pizza today. But we're like, no, I really deserved it. I worked hard this week. But deep within our gut tells us the decisions we need to make, right? Third perspective, or the third lens you look at decision making through, is just imagining in a backdrop, you have this giant clock that's ticking, and that's called death. And what it does is it gives you a perspective of responsibility, and it takes the fear of pleasing people. You will make decisions based on your values, what is really close to you, versus trying to please someone else. Death has a perspective. And then, of course, you look through the lens of caution. I want to do this, but I want to bring in a perspective of caution as well. How does it impact me 5 years from now, 10 years from now? If a decision doesn't impact me 5 years from now, why am I even spending time making that decision? And the last lens is of courage, which sometimes argues and fights with caution. Caution says, slow down. Courage says, go for it. And that's where your gut comes into picture and says, you want to go for it or not? So those are the 5 angles I recently studied about. It gave me a very different whole idea on decision making. I'm like, yeah, I can use this in my life going forward, right? And like we are moving along with this, and I'm just going to throw in this new topic for you. Is time is one of the things that we need to decide where it goes. Money is another component. Cut the pie the way it is. We are in a materialistic world, or we are in a world where money has its importance. So we need to manage our money well. We need to manage our time well. We need to manage our relationships well. You guys want to shed some light on it? Like, how can someone make sure that their time, just some things you keep in your mind, where do you invest your time? Where does your money go? Any decisions around those 2 components? Because I think those are big components. If someone can learn how to manage their time well, they can learn to direct their money. I think they'll do really good in life.
You are right, Katie. So It's very, very important that we take some time out to find out our priorities, you know. And as Naresh was saying, it's very important sometimes to find one person, okay, who is there in the life where we want to go. Okay, sometimes they also help us to clear out our priorities, because if they have everything that I want in their life, then they have figured out something that I need to know or figure it out. Okay, so fortunately, we got one such person, and it helped us to prioritize the thing. So lesser, like if everything is our priority, then nothing is your priority. Or if we say, like, if you have more than 3 priorities or 4 priorities, you have no priorities. So we start prioritizing our life for about 3 things mostly. You know, our relationship, our health, and our finances. Okay, and one thing I know, if I cannot help myself, I have no ability to help others. So first, I want to anchor myself, like wherever I am. If I really want to do charity, I cannot give the charity by being hungry. Okay, so let's say, like, for us, like, let's say job, for Naresh as a job, so he focus on the job 9 to 5. Anyway, anything comes is a no, because it's already has been priorities. Evening hours, like 6 to 7:30, is our family time. Okay, so if, let's say, somebody is inviting me, hey, we ladies are going out, you want to come? You know, it's tempting, but because I have already made an advanced decision for myself, this is the time for my family, and that is my priority, it's easy for me to say no. Okay, if I have not made a decision in advance, I will fall for it, and there goes my time. That is not even in my plan. Okay, so it very well help us to keep important thing important. Okay, let's say I am engaged in business, so evening 2 hours I keep it for it. But if, let's say, somebody says, hey, I am around your home, I was thinking of having tea with you. Okay, well, it's a very good idea, but I hope you would have told me before, but I am occupied now, and so I'm sorry, I cannot meet. But Saturday, it's free for me, because it is mostly our socializing time, family time. We keep Saturday a little free. So if you're free Saturday, you can come over. So without offending them, you know, I said a no. And no is a complete statement. If if my decision is made before, if my priority is clear, I can handle it. But if my priorities and decision are not clear, every time we are into dilemma, every time we are in indecision, and every indecision costs us in a big way.
Right.
So that helps us.
Absolutely. Naresh?
Yeah, so I think, very simple sentence, if you don't plan for your life, then you will fall into somebody else's plan. And what they plan for you, not much. So if you have to plan for your own money. We learned from our coach long time back about doing a zero-based budget. It helps us to start understanding what we are earning, what we are spending, and where our priorities needs to go, right? Same thing with our time. If you are not controlling your calendar, then somebody else is controlling it. So we become a master of our calendar. We put our priorities in our calendar, and everything that revolves around it.
Or
If
we
it's
can
not
say we became slave of our calendar.
exactly, you fill the calendar, you put your priorities in the calendar, and then we let the calendar run our life. It keeps us so easy. Then these are something which saves a lot of time and a lot of money, because now we know that our life is run by our decisions, not by somebody else.
Right. Very true. No, very true. And I've seen, I've grown and eventually learned things from people who have been ahead of me. And I've noticed most people, either they spend their time in the past, so they're into gossip, they are talking about what they've accomplished when they were in high school, they were the best basketball player. They are either talking their past, or they are dealing with stuff in the present. Like somewhere you were talking about, Naresh, not every decision has to be made. Some decisions are supposed to be left alone. It's like not every problem deserves a solution. Like, there's this whole famous story about Cobra effect. It comes from India. This is when Britain was ruling India. I don't know, I'm not sure if you heard this story. It's a fun story. So India had a lot of cobras and they were on the streets. So the British government, they said, we will actually throw a challenge. So they found a solution for this cobra. They said, if anybody kills a cobra and brings it to us, we'll pay you, let's say, $5 or whatever. So guess what happened? All of a sudden, cobras started getting killed and the numbers reduced. But then, right? People are smart. They said, oh, I can make money by killing a cobra. So I can actually have more cobras. So they started actually petting cobras and reproducing. Like they started giving them an environment to reproduce. And before you knew, the whole little problem became a huge problem. And then the Britain government was like, oh my God, we should have never dealt with this problem. This should have gone by itself. Now what do we do? So they said, we're not buying anymore. Like we're not paying you any money for the cobras. And then all those people who pet the cobras, they let them free. And the whole country was into chaos. This still gets discussed in corporate as a cobra effect.
Wow.
So most of people are doing that. They are either spending their time in the past or they're spending their time in the present. But very few people, they are smart enough to spend a little time towards creating a future of choice. And that's where, when you were talking about budgeting, that's the little money maybe you're pulling out of your budget and you're spending it in the future, saying, you know what, I want to create a better choice for myself 10 years down the line. So I will spend my money in the past, which is some people are paying off the debts. I will spend my money in the present, paying off the bills and making sure the inflation doesn't bite as much. And then also some smart people, they're like, let me spend some money in the future. That's called investments, investing into a business idea, investing into yourself. And those are the decisions, once made consciously and cautiously, they can actually lead to a better quality life, right? So I took a little detour on this topic because I feel if we can handle time and money well, there is so much more better we can do with our lives, right?
Yes,
So guys, as we are just winding this down, how about we talk about this? Like I was talking about, not every decision has to be made. Also, some decisions, like I cannot get up in the morning and say, okay, what am I going to do today? Or what shirt I'm going to wear? Like some of these decisions will just burn us. And a lot of people do that. And these are the people who you will catch saying, oh, I just live life in the moment. Life in the moment doesn't mean you have made no decisions at all what you're going to do. Because if you live life in the moment, I like the hippie lifestyle, but then every moment is a chaos for you and you will get burned out and you'll miss the bigger thing that you were created for. So do you guys have any inputs on some of this decision making in advance and all that? If you can shed some light on that.
Sure, Katie. Like we all know, our mind is a monkey mind. Okay. So if we don't allocate something to it, it will keep jumping from one place to another place and it gets
I love
tired,
that.
as you said. What?
I love that. Monkey mind.
Yes. So it's very, I will say we need to learn to tame this monkey mind. If we allocate something to this monkey, it gets busy. And it doesn't worry about other stuff. Once they are done with that, then they start. So like, for example, I'm just telling you, tomorrow I have to catch up a flight early morning. So I have two things left, packing, and I have a little bit of work on my presentation. And I have not allocated like an hour before. And I was thinking, oh, two things I have to do. Oh my God, I have to do this also. And I have to talk to, we are doing this podcast. But just to cool down this monkey mind, what I said, I put in my calendar. After this podcast, I will work on my presentation. And once I'm done with my presentation, I will pack it.
And you're hoping no one calls you for a tea after this podcast.
No. So now my monkey mind is calm. Okay. Otherwise, I was restless. I was jumping, inside. Like outside, I might be looking calm, but inside, I was restless. Oh my God, too work. So, so it's very, very important to allocate the time to your task. And then you can do whatever task I'm doing at this point in time, I'm at peace.
Mm-hmm.
So that helps me to control and tame my brain. And and I will also say it's the advanced decision making little bit.
True.
And saves my energy.
Yeah, like few things are, and I think the advanced decision making is a very powerful thing in life. It's like, once I got married to Smita and I decided to love her, it's not like every day I'm getting up and questioning it. The problem is When every day morning you get up and question yourself, should I get up today or not? Should I take shower today or not? Should I do the brush today or not? All this trivial decision making actually, as you said, wears you down, right? You might have heard about, Mark Zuckerberg wearing the jeans and a black t-shirt every day, right?
Yes.
Steve Jobs wearing the jeans and a turtleneck every day, right? Why? Because trivial decisions bog you down. So in life, they say, you have to succeed in life. You just need to make few good, important decisions. That's all. Not, you don't need to make every decision. Just like I say, in the war, they say you don't need to win every small battle. You need to focus on winning the war, right? So you don't need to make every small decision and every small decision good. Make some small decisions automate in your life, automate, like running your life by calendar, automate it, right? My kids, who's picking up, who's dropping up, all in the calendar, automated. We don't need to think about it, right? Use your multi-million-dollar brain to think about the things which are more valuable rather than just making some trivial decisions. Not a very good use of such a powerful computing machine.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love that. And that's exactly where I wanted to go with that thought. Just automate some decisions for yourself and keep them simple for yourself, right? If, let's say, during the weekdays, one of the person who's listening to this, they're really busy with their job, they have 2 jobs or they have a family to run. Middle of all this, if you cannot schedule a workout, it's okay, right? You don't have to. But every morning, if you think, oh, should I go for workout, not go for workout, you're just unnecessarily burning yourself up. You could actually put it on your calendar saying, okay, I'm looking at my calendar, I can only work out on Wednesdays and on Fridays and maybe on Sundays. And you made an advanced decision with it. So you're not going to wake up on Monday and like, should I go for workout? Not go for workout. Groceries, laundry. Like people sometimes master, this is the funniest thing I've heard. They're like, some people, they have mastered the shortest route to their office. And that's all the mastery they've gained. Like they know exactly what stop sign to go to and what time. They've mastered beating the traffic. So they've burnt so much of energy on a trivial thing versus using that energy for fixing something else. Maybe their relationship sucks. Maybe they could have devoted that kind of energy to fixing a relationship. So I love that, where you make an advanced decision. Like, you guys are an entrepreneur. I'm sure some of the decisions you've already made, like, hey, certain things I do in the evening hours, certain things I do in my afternoon. And that's where you're not conflicted. And when you're not conflicted, you have clarity. When you have clarity, you have confidence. And when you have confidence, you have results to show to everyone. Right. As we're wrapping this up, this has been a wonderful discussion. As we're wrapping this up, anything else on your heart that could help people just to progress with making decisions or making good choices in life? Anything else on your heart or on your mind?
Sure, Katie. Like one thing I will say, keep some minutes, at least 10-15 minutes just for yourself to think and plan. Okay, it's very difficult to get rid of this one device. Okay. And if we just learn to leave 15 minutes consciously away from it and think about what really I want in my life or what I want to do today, the life is peaceful and happy for everybody. Okay, so that one thing helps me, like just 15 minutes, I just be away with this device and I just think through how I want this day to go. Might be I don't do in the morning, I do a night before, so that the next day, as you said, I'm not burning out thinking what tasks to do, what not to do. So that helps me just keep me on my priorities and work it.
Yeah. And for me, Katie, like a very wise man once said, man makes the choice and the choice makes the man, right?
Very true.
Not making a choice that most of us try to, when it's a tough choice to make, we try to avoid it. And not making a choice is actually a choice, right? They say if you choose not to succeed, then by default, you choose to fail, right? So step up, make the choice. It's okay to make wrong choices, right? Life is all about taking some decisions wrong and then turning it into right.
Nice, very nice, wonderful. And something that I had to very consciously include in my own choices is that I'm okay, and I've settled my thought with being bored is okay. Because there was time in my life, if I found myself not doing something, I was like, I got to do something. It's like, oh, why am I just sitting here? And I remember talking to my coach. I said, I have nothing to do on my calendar today. He's like, isn't that great? I'm like, no, but I'm a performer. I'm a doer. He's like, so what are you going to do with your evening today? I'm like, I'm going to watch something. I'm going to go meet my friend. I'm going to do something because I can't sit idle by myself. And then slowly I started hearing what I was saying. I was like, oh my God, I have become like a robot. And nothing wrong with a robot. From outside, it looks like someone is really focused. But deep within, I knew I was just chasing something which was not even there for me to chase. So I said, I will normalize being bored. So there are times when I'm so bored, I just don't know what to do. So I just sit there. Maybe I'm getting wiser, I'm getting older, but either way, it's helping me. And I love that. They say, you were saying 15 minutes. If you do a challenge in America that you for 15 minutes you don't touch your phone, everyone in the country at the same time, like from 8 to 8:15 today, don't touch your phone, or we'll have 911 phone calls. The people have panic attack. They're like, oh my God, I can't live without my phone. So I have normalized, at least in 2023, normalized being bored. I think it's okay for us to be a little bored. Yeah. But thank you, both of you. I know you have a busy household, 2 kids at home, and that to 2 wonderful boys who are ambitious, who are always doing something creative and fun. But you still took out some time to talk to the crew over here who's been listening. So I'm sure this must have been a great value add. So thank you, Naresh. Thank you, Smita. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you so much, KD. It was great sharing the virtual stays with you. Thank you.
Yes, and good luck with your packing and good luck with your flight tomorrow.
Yay.
Yes. All right. Bye-bye. Take care.